Milk bread two ways. Hi everybody, today we're gonna do a video on milk bread. This is a very popular recipe on the blog. So many of you have already made it. What makes this milk bread so great is how easy it is. A lot of people share my sentiment. It is the foundation, the dough is for so many Chinese bakery items. The cocktail buns, the red bean buns, the char siu bao, the hot dog buns, you know, all the buns come from this milk bread. Once you get this dough, this milk bread dough recipe mastered, then the rest is just piece of cake, all right? And it's not to say that this is not a piece of cake either, all right? It's very easy, you can handle it. Also, it is so soft and fluffy, and I think that's why the Chinese baked goods has been so near and dear to many, many people, because who doesn't like it? It's hard to refuse. The main ingredient that goes into the recipe is the heavy cream and the whole milk. But I understand there's a lot of variance with that. A lot of people tried with oat milk, soya milk, low-fat milk, half. All those options are okay. This will be the ultimate, the top choices, but you can adjust it from there, okay? The milk bread is not gonna come out as, I would say, tender and soft if you reduce the fat and content in it, but still it will be very nice. So just feel free to reduce the fat if you have to, or change to plant-based milk, let's say oat milk will be fine, all right? But this egg, it is also necessary. Since we have the metric measurement, it is almost necessary to invest in a very inexpensive kitchen scale. It is liberating because all you have to do is, add the ingredients, check the weight. There's no measuring cup. There's no washing of the measuring cups and all that stuff. So if you can invest in a inexpensive, this is like, I don't know, $12, $15, that you can use it for many, many, many years. All right? So today we're going to just measure out the wet ingredients first, because the wet ingredients need about like 45 minutes to an hour to come to room temperature. So we're gonna start with that first. So you're gonna put your mixer's bowl on the scale, zero it out first, zero it out. And the recipe says 160 milliliter heavy cream. So we get to the milliliter mark right here. Zero it out. Okay, and just pour slowly. And this is why the scale is so wonderful. 160. Okay. And now you zero it out again. Just zero it out, okay, because you don't need that measurement anymore. Zero it out. 250 whole milk. Do it slowly because you don't want to pour too much, because you can't take it out. Pretty precise. 250. Okay, and now you just crack an egg in it. Those are all the wet ingredients. All right, prepare that ahead of time. And now we just let it sit for maybe 45 minutes to an hour. Then we add the dry ingredients, then we start making the dough. Okay. All right, just cover it so the moisture doesn't get evaporated, especially in dry climate. All right, so the liquid ingredient has come to the room temperature. Now we're gonna add the dry ingredient. We're gonna do the sugar. Okay, 75 grams. Same thing, I'm looking at the scale, just adding in, watching the number add up. Okay, and now we're gonna add the flour, zero out, 570 grams. Here we go. We do have the measurements in cups if you don't have the scale. Okay, 570. There we go.
Perfect.
All right, now we're gonna add the yeast and salt.
Okay.
Zero it out. Okay, here we go. It's about 10, 11. Put it on the stir setting. I have to wait till the dough comes together. And then once the dough comes together, it's gonna be about 15 minutes. You do have to watch it and make sure that because of various reasons, the humidity, how dry is your flour, because all the brands, the dryness varies. So you gotta look at it and see if the dough comes together. If not, then you have to adjust it accordingly. Whether you need a tiny bit of milk or you need a little bit of flour. But so far, this dough looks pretty good. It's already lifting off the sides and it's tacky at the very bottom, and that is what you want. So now we're gonna do this for 15 minutes. The dough is slightly wetter than I would like it. So I'm going to add like a tablespoon of flour. So also, it will be a good idea from time to time that you actually basically bunch together the dough again. So make sure everything kneads evenly, because now you have dough on the hook that's not really being kneaded as much. And then you have dough at the very bottom. You kind of wanted to stir it up so everything kneads evenly like this. Okay. And the rubber spatula is a great thing because it's less sticky. As you can see, it kind of comes off. If you want to use hand, make sure you flour your hand just a little bit and to get the dough off. Like that. Okay. And then just start again. And the time that you use to push down the dough, you know, if you stop your machine to add more flours, all those times you kind of have to make it up at the end. So because all those little actions take times, all right? And you do want it to knead the dough for a good 15 minutes. And sometimes, you know what, it's okay that you stop the machine to do all that, because sometimes the machine gets a little overheated. So it's actually a good thing. I added about 3 tablespoons of additional flour to this dough. I like the consistency right now, okay? As you can see, the tiny little bit on the bottom is like sticking, so that means the dough is not dry, is not super dry, but it's not sticking to the sides additionally. So at this point, another good indication is that if you push the dough down and the dough doesn't stick to your rubber spatula, that means the dough is at a good place, okay? Now, at this point, you can stop the machine and you can push down. You can clean up the sides. So,
Good.
I'm a little anal, so I'm gonna do that. So I'm gonna stop it. I'm gonna push down like this, okay? So here's the indication of your wetness of your dough, which is good. You see where I'm like handling this dough using this rubber spatula. I'm scraping it down, but it's not sticking. See this? It's not sticking to the rubber spatula. So that is a true indication that your dough is at a good place. Not too dry, not too wet. So right now, yes, I'm very happy with this dough. It's soft. You don't want the dough to be too dry. And that's when you have a very firm and hard bread at the end. And there's very little sticking to the side. The dough is probably like cleaning up very nicely.
So we have 3 minutes 2 minutes left.
Yeah. It's completely lifted off the ground. So if you don't have a thin mix, you have to do this by hand. It's doable. You just have to knead it for a long time. And same thing, try not to add too much flour to your dough. In the beginning, you kind of have to like work with a sticky hand for a little bit, but as you knead, it will, like, how would I say it, clean itself up, if that makes any sense. The dough will clean, basically all the stuff that's sticking out to your hand is gonna get picked up by the dough as you knead. Okay, so it's been 15 minutes plus additional 2 minutes that I used to push on the dough, add flours, the times that I stopped the machine. So right now the dough, it's very, as you can see, it's very soft. Okay, it's very soft. This will ensure a soft bun. Okay, so I'm going to flour my hand slightly. I'm gonna move, basically remove the hook. And then I'm just gonna cover it. I'm going to microwave a big mug of water to boil in the microwave. And then after that, after the water is boiled, I'm going to put this dough in the microwave along with the mug of boiling water with the door closed and let it proof for an hour. Okay, you do have to check it. All right, around 45 minutes, make sure that your dough has completely doubled in size. If not, go for the hour. If not, go for slightly longer. If in the middle, you have to reheat that mug of water. Take the dough out, heat the mug of water, bring it to boil, and then basically restart the process until the dough doubles in size. You kind of have to remember the size of the dough. If you want, take a picture of it. Okay, so the dough is almost done proofing. I'm going to get ready. So I'm gonna grease the pan. And what I like to do is I like to use a very cold butter because then I don't have to melt it or anything like that. I like shortcuts. I'm kind of lazy. This is a 9-inch loaf pan and this is a 9-inch cake pan. So we're gonna make a loaf and we're gonna make a pan of pull-apart buns. So, so this is what I do. Lazy version. So I just take the block and wipe all sides with the block, with the butter block, like that. Okay, and then do the same thing with this loaf pan, same thing like this. I do the sides, wipe it, and then this way, you know, I have less mess to clean up. There you go. The dough is enriched with, you know, the milk fat. So this step is not as critical, but it is necessary. But if you use, let's say, oat milk, low-fat milk, then this step, it is actually very crucial because you don't want it to stick. That's it. This goes back in the refrigerator. Oh. And so I want to show you the setup. So this is a mug of boiling water, and then this is the dough. So by now it's been an hour, so this mug of water is warm now. And let's check on the dough. That is pretty ideal.
Great.
Okay, I'm gonna put it back onto the mixer to basically break all those air bubbles for 5 minutes. Next, we're gonna transfer onto your kneading area, and then we're gonna divide the dough in half. Okay. Just gonna move it onto a... Okay, so now, this is how I divide the dough in half, okay? First, I lift the dough off the zero it out, and then I put it back, and then I divide that number in half. Half is going to be going to the loaf pan, and half is going to be the round cake pan. Okay, that wasn't so good. Let's see. Oh yeah. So it's 570, about 570 each half. I'm very mechanic. Okay.
Very precise.
Very precise, mechanic, precise. Okay. And now I'm just gonna do the easy one first. As you can see, this dough is very enriched that I don't need to flour this surface at all. So the way I did it is I cut this in 3 again. So 570 divided by 3 is 290.
Huh?
190. 190.
170.
190. 190.
Okay.
So I'm gonna make 3 190. Ooh, that's pretty good. 3 190. Okay, that's too little. Okay. Okay, that's pretty good. Okay, so then I roll each one out like that. It doesn't have to be very, it's actually, this dough is actually really forgiving. It's going to the loaf pan like that. Make sure the air bubbles are out. I'm basically kneading it into a tiny little loaf like that. And then I'm putting it like that. Seam side down? Okay. Yes, like she said, seam side down. Okay. Sometimes I feel little bubbles, so make sure you knead it out. Otherwise, once it's baked, you're gonna have large pockets of air, which makes the loaf not pretty. So there you go. The sides are smooth, like that. Okay. And now we're gonna divide this piece of dough into 8 little pieces. 570 divided by 8, 7, 8, 56. Okay, so I need 70. Did I just say Chinese? Mm-hmm. So I need every dough ball to be like around 70. Okay. Okay, perfect. Okay, perfect. I need 8 pieces. Oh, that's too big. It's too big. No biggie. Okay. Not good at estimate this, am I? So this has to be divided in half. We got 8. Okay, not bad. Okay, so this is what you do. Got the air out. It's very important because as you're making this, making the shapes and stuff, the rest of the dough is actually poofing again, So you got to make sure that you actually knead the air bubbles out again. So this is what I did. I did this, twist it, and then I just tuck this underneath like that. And that's all I did. All right, and then this goes into the pan.
I don't have any water.
See all this bubble? Get this bubble out. Okay. I'm gonna cover this with a kitchen towel like that. Oh, dirty. Like that. And then let it proof on the counter for an hour. Then it's gonna be ready for the oven. But do make sure that you have your oven preheated by the end of that 1 hour mark. Don't go 1 hour and then heat the oven. A lot of people, their oven takes a long time and then your dough will be overproofed. And then it's gonna turn sour. You don't want that. You wanna proof it to like 50-60% of the current size. You don't wanna proof it to be double the size because it should be baked to the double the size. So the oven is preheated, 350, and the buns are pretty happy, if I should say so myself. So now it's going into the oven, about 23 minutes. We kind of have to keep an eye on it. You don't want it to overbake because that will dry the bread out, okay? The recipe says 23 to 25 minutes, so you kind of, when it get to that time, like 22, 23 minutes, you kind of have to keep an eye on it. Once it's like lightly golden brown, you want to take it out. So the golden brown should be like mostly on top. And like the bumped up areas, the bread will continue to bake within that heat too. If it's too light, that means it's not really there. If it's too dark, then chances are you overbaked it. After it's done baking, we're gonna brush a layer of sugar water. Because it's under heat and it's sugar, it's gonna really nicely darken the color slightly and also give that nice shine. Okay, now I'm gonna pop them in the oven. Make sure your baking rack is in the middle of your oven before you heat up, before you preheat the oven. Okay, 23 minutes, 23 minutes, 23 minutes. The bread is done out of the oven. So while the bread is still piping hot, it's a good time to brush on the sugar water. Sugar water is 1 tablespoon of sugar plus 1 tablespoon of hot water so you can melt the sugar. It's very important. That is complete melted. You're gonna see the miracle of this bread turning into something really pretty. Don't worry about the wet water because it will get absorbed, evaporated, however you want to look at it. And then we're gonna do this. Okay. There you go. Okay. While the bread is still hot, you actually want to get it out of the loaf pan. Because what happens is that if you just leave it sit there and then the condensation is going to create and it's going to create sogginess. So I'm just going to loosen it ever so slightly. It shouldn't stick, but you never know. So I'm going to go like this. Comes out pretty easily, right? And then want to sit it upright. There you go. It's a pretty loaf. Okay, and same thing with this. This should come, let's see this, it's actually, the pan was very well greased. So I could just like, here we go. Okay, and then we'll turn it over like that. There you go. Milk bread 2 ways. All right, let's see the texture inside.
Pretty perfect. Talk about it. Fluffy.
Fluffy.
Strings.
Yes.
The signature texture of a fluffy milk bread.
Right. Right now it's very, very hot. You do want it to wait. It get to the room temperature and then you try to eat it. Because right now if you eat it, everything is just gonna collapse, if you know what I'm saying. Okay? Just
There's
That's
too much
what.
steam. Basically.
Yeah, there's too much steam, and then there's a way of eating bread, and it's not when it's piping hot. Not this particular bread, anyway.
Yes. Good tip.
Okay, like this. So this is my milk bread recipe. So many people enjoy this recipe and they make all sorts of variety of Chinese baked goods. You should try it too. If you enjoy this video, like and subscribe to The Walks of Life. Not a very good salesperson. Wow, look at it. Look at this dough, it's like strings. Have you seen anything like this? Whoa. Look. Wow. This is crazy.
That's how you know it's good.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Run the camera.